Did you know that the average person wears an item of fast fashion only 7 times before discarding it? The fast fashion industry is not only poisoning the planet, but also our health. Hi, I'm Purdy, and I'm going to explain how the fast fashion industry is not only destroying our planet, our environment, but affecting our health in ways that we may not even realise. We all know that fast fashion is unethical, from the people who make the clothes to where the clothes end up. And I'm sure we've all seen clips of clothing brands ending up on beaches in faraway countries such as Ghana. The overconsumption created by these industries who are just looking to make profit is not only impacting the environment, the planet, but also our health as individuals, as consumers. The worst negative impact of fast fashion on our health is through microplastics. Microplastics are microscopic pieces of plastic that break off plastic items and plastic clothing. And according to Greenpeace, up to 70% of our clothing is now made up of synthetic materials. So polyester, nylon, acrylic, these materials are 100% plastic. They are byproducts of the fossil fuel industry. If you don't want to ingest microplastics, you don't want to drink microplastics, then why do you want to put them on the largest organ of your body? Our skin. Our skin is our largest organ, and it absorbs everything that we put on it, from creams, perfumes, deodorants, whatever, but also clothing. Plastic clothing, just like any other plastic material, microplastics break off of it, and if that's next to your skin, then they're being absorbed into your body, accumulating in your body, and the health effects of this are really damaging because they can literally make their way anywhere in your body. They've been found to affect our breathing capacity from getting into our lungs. They can create heart problems. They can affect our gut microbiome. The toxic chemicals from within microplastics, because they're plastic, they can disrupt our hormones. So they're disrupting our endocrine system in our body. Endocrine system being disrupted through plastic can also disrupt your reproductive health. So please don't wear plastic underwear. Also, it can cause skin irritations. So if you get itchy, irritated skin, I'm not saying it's the cause of this. However, it could be making it worse. It could be causing flare-ups. So I know personally I would get really itchy skin around my collar and also on my legs, and I realized that through process of elimination, this was only happening when I was wearing polyester clothing. Flashback to being at school wearing tights and having really itchy legs. Polyester. So if you've got any skin problems, then it could be from the clothing you're wearing. Indirectly, the fast fashion industry. So if you own fast fashion, first of all, you probably, because the clothes are really bad quality, and you probably buy way more of them a lot more frequently. Every time you wash these clothes in the washing machine, loads of synthetic fibres, loads of microplastics are being released into the water, and then that's draining out into our water system. So either with sewage or grey water, that's ending up in our water, and those microplastics can't get filtered out of the water when the water's cleaned, so they're going to end up in rivers and oceans. That water, evaporates, forms clouds, rains, goes into our soils, and then the food that grows from the soils is full of microplastics, and so is the air we breathe. So microplastics contaminating the air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we eat is really concerning. And I know that individually you won't have a massive impact on this. However, we can't think of ourselves as individuals because we're all part of a whole, and if I think what I do doesn't matter, if every single person in the world thinks that, then it makes a massive impact. So the last thing I wanted to mention was what you should do instead. I'm not suggesting you discard all of your plastic clothing. because discarding all of it is not really going to help the problem. However, you know, if you do own clothing that is made of polyester, acrylic, nylon, then try avoid wearing it when you're sweating, and also try avoid wearing it in direct contact against your skin. So maybe wearing it on top of something else just to avoid the microplastics being absorbed into your skin. In the future, avoid buying from fast fashion companies, especially buying synthetic materials. Try and, I guess it's about reducing overconsumption, so try and buy less. Only buy something when you really need it, and when you do buy it, buy from a sustainable, ethical brand. And yes, this will probably be more expensive, however, you know, buy cheap, buy twice. So if you buy something of good quality, then it's probably going to last you for a long time and save you money in the long term. So choose natural materials, things like cotton, hemp, linen, wool, any material that is biodegradable and is not going to end up in landfills taking hundreds if not thousands of years to break down. So other things you could do is just, you know, buy secondhand, so buy from charity shops. If that's not something that's common where you live, then you could maybe start one up, or look into doing like clothes swaps, so getting loads of people together, or even somewhere like in a workplace or at a university or at a school, and everyone bringing in clothes that they no longer want, and you know, you can do a swap and find new clothes that way. Because there's like a crazy statistic that there's enough clothing in the world to, like, for the next like 10 generations. I might be completely wrong in saying that, but there's enough clothing for so many future generations that we don't need to buy new clothing. So we should try and reuse clothing, like swap clothes, and just buy clothes that already exist rather than adding to the supply and demand of new ones. So yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you've found it useful and that it's convinced you to stop wearing plastic and stop buying plastic for your health and also for the environment.